Hey everyone, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. I thought we would do what we did last week, I believe. Well, actually, last week I guess it was the monthly close, but it's sometimes fun to just bring in the weekly closes. When you get a new weekly candle, it's pretty interesting to see, just see the macro trend and how it's playing out. So I thought, hey, what the hell? Let's do a live stream just to bring in the weekly close. So let me just post this in a couple different places so people are aware that we're doing it, and then we will jump in. All right, so we tend to get a lot of volatility around closes. Seems to be, right, last time we had a monthly close, there was a decent amount of volatility. And if you go and look at, say, like, and by the way, I don't presume to trade these shorter time frames. You guys know that. But it's sometimes fun to just look at these, 15-minute candles and look at this, right? I mean, this is why these can be so hard to trade, right? Down 1%, and then after going down 1%, then up 1.63%. It's an interesting game to play. But anyways, here's the 4-hour chart, which I know a lot of people are fond of. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But obviously what we mainly want to keep an eye on is the weekly chart, because we're about to be getting a new weekly close, right? And here we are, all the way up here. So we'll see exactly where it comes in. We have about, 20 minutes? I think we have 20 minutes until the weekly close. So everyone's saying, "Oh, Ben's doing a live stream. It's gonna go down." Someone says, "Hey Ben, I'm beginning to believe you short Bitcoin right before right before you live stream." Anyways. Yeah, if we look at the 4-hour chart, I mean, I don't put too much weight into this stuff, but obviously you'll see these resistance lines drawn right out, and basically the idea is that going to hold again for the third time? We'll see what happens, but anyways, we'll see where the weekly close is, and if you remember, if we look at the let me pull up a different chart so I don't have to switch back and forth. So we're going to go to the weekly here. And one of the things we talked about, right? One of the things we talked about in one of the recent videos are the similarities between this move over here and then this one, right? We major pump up and then sideways and then major pump up. So we'll see if this plays out again. Again, you can count them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we had this, what is it called? Like a spinning top or something? Weekly candle. This one here. Another one here. Same thing, right? Same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weekly candles, followed by a red one, followed by a green one. And so we're basically repeating the same exact thing. And we showed it on a video recently, right? But again, at the end of the day, these patterns don't really mean a whole lot. As I've said before, the patterns don't really mean a whole lot because, if everything just simply repeated, then it would be a very simple way to trade. But it does not always repeat. I'm just showing you guys the pattern in case it does play out, right? And just so you've seen it before. We have seen this before, right? We've seen this type of move before, and so far that's what it looks like, right? It looks pretty similar. And if it were to play out, if this were to continue like this, then this could theoretically turn into an altcoin season. I know a lot of people are waiting for a move above 20K and then sideways. That would certainly be a catalyst, I think, for altcoins to move, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. And the reason I'm saying that again is, I mean, we weren't over the all-time high here and altcoin still pumped. We were not over it here and altcoin still pumped. And the reason they pumped, of course, is because we were above the Bitcoin bull market support line, right? Because we were above it, Bitcoin was above it and going sideways, altcoins did pretty well. They did pretty well up here too, and if Bitcoin goes sideways here, even below 20K, I still contend that altcoins could do well in that type of environment as well. So, we'll see we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires over the next few weeks. But this is just if we were to see a similar type thing like last time. If we go back over to say like the BLX and just simply put back on our the regression band, this is where we are. So we're still out of it, of course. We're still out of the regression band, but we're not that far out of it, and we're still pretty far away from the upper peak regression band, which now the bottom of the upper band starts at around 53K, and the upper part goes to 78K. So I certainly think that the peak for Bitcoin will be higher this market cycle than 53K. But the point is if it were to instantaneously pump to this level, which is where we've seen, prior tops to the price of Bitcoin, right? It would put it between 53K to around 78K. So we'll keep an eye on that. And if you zoom in, again, you can see where we are in terms of the regression band, which is what I would consider, right, to be the best time to accumulate Bitcoin, right? We made a video on it called the accumulation corridor. And then I also want to quickly pull up, we're going to keep an eye on the price here. There just seems to be a lot of volatility around the close. Let me pull up a smaller time frame chart. Here's a 4-hour. And then we'll also switch it over to, say, 15 minutes. So that's the 15-minute chart. But I don't really have any specific, anything too specific to talk about. But if you guys have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But of course, we're going to keep an eye on Ethereum, right? We have to keep an eye on Ethereum because, again, we would like to see the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation move up, right? And we can see that over the last few weeks, it has been moving up, but we would like to see this continue. So we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin. We'll see if it can rally past this level around the weekly close. Again, we know the weekly closes and the monthly closes can offer a fair level of volatility, which we saw in the last hour or so. If you guys have any questions, post them in the chat. If you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Can I talk about the relationship between Ethereum dominance and Ethereum Bitcoin? I actually have a video on Ethereum dominance. So if you just go to the YouTube channel and type in Ethereum dominance, there's actually a video specifically on that. Someone asked about Link. Yeah, it's at the bottom, right? It's at the bottom of the exponential fit. We'll see if it can bounce back like it has in the past, right? I mean, it doesn't mean we can't go below it. We went below it here. We went below it here. We went below it here. But you can see we're really close back down to the bottom of that exponential fit. And again, the one thing we do know that we can take to the bank, in a sense, is that the exponential move against Bitcoin will not last forever, right? We know it won't last forever. But it's fun to ride the move for as long as it goes. And this would be a linear scale to give you guys a better appreciation of what it looks like on a linear scale. This is the Link Bitcoin valuation, and again, here is the logarithmic scale. All right, good reason. I will go ahead and block you from the chat if you want to be a troll, so goodbye. What other questions do we have? Yeah, I mean, I told you guys, coins like XRP and Litecoin, you could argue that it's a better time to accumulate now than it was a year ago. And I've been saying this, for a few weeks now, right? There's definitely I understand why people are accumulating those coins now. But you also have to recognize that if Bitcoin does not break through, then it could be a very risky play. So for the last year and a half, I've said XRP and Litecoin will trend down against Bitcoin until Bitcoin gets to the prior all-time high. Now that Bitcoin's basically at that level, I understand why someone would want to speculate on those coins. Um, Someone says, would you say now is a good time for a newcomer to invest in Bitcoin, or is it worth waiting till a larger dip? It's hard to say, right? I mean, anytime there's a bull market, um, newcomers will often face that question, right? Do you go ahead and put money into the market, or do you wait for the dip? I tend to say it's okay to get some exposure, but be ready for the dip as well, right? I wouldn't go all in. I wouldn't push all my chips into Bitcoin at this moment if I didn't have any. But at the same time, if I didn't have any, I would not want to not have any Bitcoin, right? Because as I've said before, I think not having Bitcoin is too large of a risk in and of itself. We have around 10 more minutes till the weekly close. Have you guys noticed like an increase in the number of scammers like around crypto YouTube? Like it's really insane right now. I'm just seeing them even pop up in the chat. Like, by the way, I will never post a phone number in my YouTube comments. So there's a lot of accounts pretending to be me or other people that talk about crypto. All of these people it's all a complete scam. So don't fall for that stuff. You are now blocked as well. All right, do we have any questions? Sorry, I'm trying to follow. Yeah, we talked about the dollar index about a week ago. Remember, the dollar index it's a good way to gauge where Bitcoin is headed. If DXY is moving back up, then we would expect Bitcoin to head back down. So just something to keep an eye on. I'm not going to pull it up right now. Let's just keep an eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum as we bring in the weekly close. We have about 8 minutes or so. Oh, there's another scammer in the chat. What will cause DeFi projects to pump? Well, to some degree, DeFi, as I've said before, right? I think DeFi has a role to play this market cycle, but most of them are probably worthless. Some of them are probably worth their salt, but I think a lot of projects like just like trending, like finding the new trending keyword, and then just it could be a project on something completely different than DeFi, and then they just figure out some way to implement DeFi into like what their description of their product or whatever it is they're offering, just so they can ride that hype. It's the same thing like the ICO craze in 2017. So I think DeFi is great. Don't get me wrong, DeFi I think is great, but again, a lot of these piggyback projects that want to just ride the DeFi craze don't always get sucked into the flavor of the day. And I'm not saying they can't pump. I think the narrative can sometimes pump these projects, but if you look at a lot of the ICOs back in 2017, a lot of them are nowhere near where they initially came out and valued their own project at. A lot of times people overvalue their tokens when they do the ICO. David says, is there a decent date range for someone who's looking into DC into Bitcoin? Well, as I've showed before, one of the things you can do, and again, past movements are no reason to necessarily think they'll play out again. But one thing we know again is the 20-week is typically where we find support during a dip. So if you were to go over to the, say, like a date range between tests the 20-week, during the last market cycle, they tended to be about 2 or 3 months apart, right? 2 or 3 months between tests of the 20-week moving average. So I'm not saying that it has to be like that this cycle. Sometimes they even went to, say, 4 months or so. But I would not presume that we're going to stay above the 20-week forever. Maybe it could be as high as 3 or 4 months, but we know that we will have retests of the 20-week at some point. Right now, we've been above it for around 56 days. Okay, so if we were to go out another few weeks, I think it's reasonable that we might test it. We'll certainly keep an eye on it. Sorry, I'm just trying to deal with the scammers. Scammers are worse than trolls. I mean, like, at least trolls are real. They're actually like maybe they believe the message they're bringing. But I'm really getting annoyed by these people posting phone numbers and WhatsApp links in the comments. All right, we have around 4 minutes until the weekly close. We'll see where we open it at. It's always nice to print a new weekly candle, as we mainly look at weekly candles. There's literally a person in the chat with my name. Now, these are the scammers. Goodbye. All right, let's just look to see where we open it at. We have around 3 more minutes. Ether's back above 600, but that's not really that out of the ordinary. We've hit 600 several times the last few weeks. Hopefully we continue to see Ether Bitcoin move up, right? And if it does happen and Bitcoin stays the same, then that means the Ether USD valuation is going up, which is what we want, right? We want Ether USD to go up. We want Ether to go up with respect to Bitcoin as well. Someone says, how many years do you think it'll take for Bitcoin to stop exponential growth? Bitcoin is not experiencing exponential growth. It's experiencing logarithmic growth, right? Exponential on a logarithmic scale would look like a line, right? It would be linear on a logarithmic scale, and maybe it could oscillate around this line, but that would be exponential growth. This is more logarithmic growth. The faster moves happen earlier on, and as we go forward in time, it starts to level off more and more and more. So we're not looking at exponential growth for Bitcoin. We're looking at logarithmic growth. For Link, this is, if you look at a log scale, it's even, I mean, this is you can see how quickly this is increasing, right? It's even doing slightly better, and this is why we have this is an exponential fit to the non-bubble data. But anyways, let's just look to see where we come in. We have about 1 more minute. We're around 19.4, so, and we're going back up to 19.4 right at the weekly close. We'll see where it closes at. Remember, last time we were at 10K. Sorry, we had this rally, and that was where we ended up. I mean, that was slightly less than 10K, but might look something like that. I don't know. Might be a very similar move. Looks like we're about to print it. So we're at 19,386, 19,378. We should see the weekly candle come on here in a second. We'll just see where we are. There it is. The new weekly candle has started. So we'll see where this one takes us. I mean, if, you know, we see the similar pattern right last time, 7 greens in a row. So just like last time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The red spinning, you know, spinning top one or whatever it's called. Another green one that takes us back to the top with a wick slightly above, right? Just like here. If we continue that pattern that we just had, then we would have another wick up to the local top, which would mean having a wick back up to 19.7 or 19.8 if this same pattern were to continue. But it also might mean, you know, we're going to revisit the lows, right, all the way back down to maybe 18.1. Again, we don't know if this pattern is going to repeat or not, but we're just trying to draw the similarities and see what happens. So we're currently at 19.4. I don't know if it's going to be any more volatile than that right now, but it was pretty interesting to see it on the shorter time frame. This is the 4-hour time frame again. And again, I don't trade this, right? I definitely don't trade this, but we'll see if we end up breaking through or just, you know, coming back down. And back down here would be back down to like 18.5, 18.6, somewhere in that ballpark. All right. 124. All right, I'll remove you, dude. Someone said, based on math, where should the 20-week be? In, what did he say, September of 2021? We don't know that, right? We can't know that. It's impossible to know that because the 20 weeks that would be where the 20 weeks preceding September of 2021 are in the future, and since the 20-week moving average would be an average of those 20 weeks, and we don't have any of those 20 weeks yet, there's no way we can really discuss where it would be. What we do know is that the 20-week moving average is increasing by about $400 per week. We also know that this will decrease as we continue on unless we break through 20K. The reason is because if you go back and look, now 20 weeks ago, we're right here. So we're replacing basically $9,000 Bitcoin with $19,000 Bitcoin. Divided by 20, you're looking at around $400 a week every time we print a new weekly candle. However, next week, we're going to be replacing a higher number, and then even a higher one and a higher one. So over the next few weeks, if the price of Bitcoin goes sideways, then this will not increase quite as quickly. Like, it's going to start to level off a little bit, right? We're not going to increase as quickly because we're replacing one of these numbers with one of these as opposed to something all the way back down here. That was why, you know, was causing it to go up so quickly, was because we were essentially replacing prices with a $10,000 increase in the price the last few weeks. Remember to subscribe if you guys like the content, and give the video a thumbs up. We're almost at 70,000 subscribers, which is crazy because we had like 30,000 subscribers like a couple months ago. So thank you guys for subscribing. All right, Daniel, last warning. If you keep spamming, I will remove you too. I'll quickly put on the rainbow chart in case you guys want to see it. So there's the rainbow chart, right? We've talked about a lot of the similarities, right, between the last cycle in terms of the accumulation phase, and also the accumulation phase being mostly in that for this cycle as well. With this cycle, though, had a bubble up to this band and then a capitulation down to this one, unlike the prior cycle. But we spent a majority of our time within this reaccumulation band. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 19.4. Here's the new weekly candle. If we get rid of this line, you can see it. And let's see where the 20-week is. So the 20-week now, as we said, of course, right, it's going to go above 13. The 20-week moving average is now at 13,378. Of course, it'll depend on the exchange you use, but the 20-week moving average, which is what we would want to hold in the event of a dump to maintain the integrity of the bull market, it's currently at around 13,378. Why are we not a band lower? Yeah, I mean, we did go a band lower at some point, but yeah, we have not spent much time in a band lower. He's basically referencing that in this cycle we were essentially in this band, right? And then in the following cycle, and then in the previous cycle, we were, well, in the previous cycle you can see we were also sort of in that band as well. So, you know, we essentially came from this band to the same band, and then the next market cycle we dropped down a band. So this band was the same as this one for the most part. This one also had a bubble, right? This one also had a bubble up here. And then we dropped down a band, and then this one we dropped down another band for a very brief period of time, but we have not spent that much time in that band. Now, it does not preclude us from going back to it again. Remember, these lines are monotonically increasing, so in order for us to get into this band, right, we need to keep trending up, because if the band keeps increasing like this, and then the price of Bitcoin, say, were to go sideways, then we could theoretically get into this band. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but there are possibilities of us getting back into that band at some point. But right now we're at the top of this reaccumulation band, right? We're at around 20K, which is where the top of the band is right now. Will I announce when I'm personally moving into XRP? I mean, you know, I don't think it really matters, right? I mean, I think if you want to take the risk on it, like, I can understand it. We've had videos for a year and a half now saying that the risk on XRP was not worth it. I understand now, again, why you would want to buy it, but you have to remember that there's tons of assets out there, and I don't necessarily want to chase every single one. if if Bitcoin's above 20K and XRP is still at a fairly low risk level, then maybe I would buy it. But again, I wish everyone the best of luck. We will cover it on the channel some, just for those people who do hold it. Will Bitcoin crash with the market? I don't know if the market's going to crash right now. Yeah, price isn't updating here because it's the BLX. We can switch over back to a live updated one. Here we are. So this is a 15-minute chart. You can see the price is currently at 19.3. I mean, yeah, the weekly closes are somewhat arbitrary, but it's just UTC time. This is what everyone uses. Will Link outperform Bitcoin? Well, I mean, for the last 3 years it has, right? For the last 3 years it has. We'll see if it continues to do so. I mean, even with the current move from the bottom, it's still up, 6,400% against Bitcoin over the last 3 years. But I mean, it's to be fair though. I mean, Bitcoin has not gone through a bull market during Link's existence. Do we have any questions? Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys like it. Let's get to 70,000 subs and give the video a thumbs up. Someone said they all in Link. I would not suggest going all in on anything. Let me. I'm just gonna scroll up in the chat so I can actually read the questions. Someone says NASA faked the moon landings. That's enough to get you blocked on the channel because I actually interned at NASA about 10 years ago. How do you get these bands? Well, it's part of the premium list. Again, you can check that out in the description below. We have the Black Friday sale going on, so remember to check it out. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the Telegram alerts channel, and the Telegram chat room, and the risk dashboard. By the way, our Telegram, the public Telegram group is almost at 10,000 people. We're at 9,946 people, so I'll post that in the chat if you guys want to join. Yeah, I mean everyone's talking about DXY. We did talk about that, right? If we just bring it up really quick. Oh, sorry. Oh. So here's DXY. And the main point is that when Bitcoin is having a bull market, the dollar is not doing so well, right? So this is since March of 2020, DXY has been going down, right? You can see here, DXY has been going down, Bitcoin's been going up. Another time we know DXY went down was in 2017, and look what happened in 2017. The dollar lost value. Okay, so when the dollar's losing value, it tends to coincide with Bitcoin doing quite well. So you know, if you try to want to if you want to continue to try to figure out maybe what's going on in the short term, you know, back over here in August and September, DXY had a brief, you know, recovery, if you want to call it that. And during that brief recovery, August and September, what happened in August and September? Well, that was when Bitcoin dipped back down and tested the 20-week. So I would argue that, you know, looking at DXY it should help give you an indication as to whether Bitcoin will continue the rally or not. If we see a strong bounce back up, then it could put Bitcoin on pause for a while. And if it does put Bitcoin on pause, then that might be a good thing for the rest of the market, for the rest of the crypto market. Why am I ignoring that small part that broke the pattern? I'm not ignoring anything. I don't think there's any merit with this type of analysis. I'm just simply drawing it because other people were drawing it on some of the channels, and it was just a point of discussion. Like I don't think that this type of trading is worth considering, right? I mean, you could change it. You could change it up to the top of the wicks and do something like that, right? It doesn't really matter. I don't think this carries that much weight. The bans are for the premium list if you want them. I already said that. By the way, yeah, I mean, as you guys know, as I said before, the Bitcoin bull market support is now at 13.3, the 20-week, and then the 21-week EMA is at around 14K. So the lower bound of the bull market support here is at 13.3, and the upper part is at 14K. All right, John, if you keep asking the same question that I've answered 4 times, um, there's just no point in asking it. You can find a link to it in the description below. Is it smart to buy Ether right now? You know, as I said, it depends on whether you think Bitcoin is going to go sideways here. If the theory is that it will, then I think there's a good chance that it would be a smart time to buy Ethereum. It's not financial advice, of course. If Bitcoin comes back down to the 20-week, then Ethereum probably will not fare that well in the short term. So it essentially depends on whether you think that Bitcoin will hold steady or go up. If you think it's going to go up or go sideways, then Ethereum is probably a decent, I think there's a good chance it could do well. If Bitcoin goes down, so this would be the one scenario where Ethereum would probably not perform that well against Bitcoin. Sorry, just trying to get through the questions. There's so many. Um, the ROI for Bitcoin at this level isn't high enough for me. I'll probably be DCing into ethanol. So, right, you can do that. What if the market does crash? What is the most likely scenario for Bitcoin? I mean, again, I think we would need to hold the 20-week to maintain the integrity of the bull market. If we go below that, then, if we go below the 20-week, the 200-week is all the way down here at, let's see. So this will be the 100 week. So the 100 week is at around, what is that, like 8,800 or so. Um, and then the 200 week, the 200 week is around 7,400. So that would be the places to watch. So that would be basically if the worst, if we had a huge dump or something. I think that would be the level to watch, right? The 200 week would probably be that would be our general support area during a capitulation. So that right now is at around $7,500, which also corresponds to the bottom of the regression band, right? This corresponds to the bottom of our logarithmic regression band. At what point would I decrease my Bitcoin position? Well, it would just depend on the risk level, right? The risk level right now is it's to the point where I have taken a little bit off the table, but for the most part, I still own most of my Bitcoin. And I think it's mainly just because we're still fairly early on within the grand scheme of a market cycle. And if we were to dump back down to like the 20 week, I would probably just like reaccumulate it. But I'm not. I mean, it depends on the risk level. It depends on a lot of other things. It also depends on if because I converted some Bitcoin to Ethereum over the last few weeks in this area. It depends on if Ether comes back up here, then it might present a timely opportunity to convert some Ethereum back to Bitcoin, and then just offloading some of that risk, right? No, I'm not talking politics here. What do I do for a living? I work in computational material science. Do I get anxiety every time I transfer coins to another wallet? No, not anymore. I think it's a pretty natural thing for people to feel that way when they first get into crypto, but after you've been doing it a few years, you put it in, you copy paste. That's what I do. And honestly, I've never had any issues. What car do I drive? We actually just bought a new car. Um, I already did a quiz on the channel to see if anyone could guess it. All right, Vila, I'll send you out of the chat. Someone says never convert your Bitcoin to Ethereum. I mean, you can say that, but I did it last year around this time, and it worked out, and then I was able to convert back and accumulate more Bitcoin. So I would argue that I like Bitcoin more than you because I was able to accumulate more of it by just simply converting it to Ether and then back to Bitcoin. Nah, it's not a Tesla. It's a Subaru Ascent. We have three kids, so unfortunately, I actually did look into a Tesla, but getting three car seats into a Tesla, even the family one, is a tall order. So not really practical to get a Tesla when you have three kids. So we ended up getting a Subaru Ascent. If you just bought the premium list and you want access to the bands, you should just check your welcome email and you'll see the instructions on how to do that, I believe. Was I picked on in school for being such a nerd? No. I can assure you, even if I had been picked on, they wouldn't be picking on me anymore. Yeah, I told you guys, my wife wants to paint, so we're getting a Subaru Ascent. Um, and one of the worst things you can do when you buy a car, in order to immediately devalue it, other than drive it off a lot, is to paint it. Um, but she very much wants to paint it yellow, believe it or not. Yeah, taxes definitely are a thing. It depends on what country you're in, your income level, how long you've been holding. You can also trade some crypto assets within the confines of an IRA. Again, it would still come with not taxable trades, but fees on that trade, and it might not just be on the profits. It could be on the entire position that you have. So even if you are in the States, if you hold some assets within the IRA that track Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can make tax-free trades with some of these assets. Why didn't we just buy a yellow one? Because they don't make yellow Subaru Sense. Someone says they're holding some ADA. Any upcoming videos? I think we did a video on ADA not too long ago, didn't we? Here's ADA ETH, right? I mean, we'll see if we can make it back up to these local tops that we always go to. But for now, we're still pretty far down here. I would not. I mean, I'm personally not converting any Ether into ADA at this point because I would rather hold on to Ether. I do have some ADA, but I would not convert Ether to. It's not financial advice. That's just my preference. But maybe we should go ahead and call it because the stream seems to have stopped. It's so weird, right? It's so weird because everything works perfect. Yeah, why don't we just call it? I'll give it like one more minute and see if it comes back, and if it doesn't, we'll just call it a wrap. My internet connection's fine. I mean, like, the price happens here with Bitcoin, but you guys know the drill. This was just to bring in the weekly close. Bitcoin's currently at around 19.4, 19.3, 19.4, so business as usual, more or less, but I think we should go ahead and call it because the stream is just um, not working out anymore. And in fact, we've lost a decent number of viewers. We've gone from like 1,300 viewers down to 900 viewers, so let's just call it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Remember to check out